We're moving into the 4-down game now. Joe Madden joins us. Joe Madden Sports. You can follow her on Twitter. She's from SportsGrid. She's here in the Calgary area. And I'm just astounded by your story. Hey, Joe, welcome to the RP Show. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait.
It is going to be a lot of fun. And before we get into the NFL talk and all the other leagues, I'm just fascinated with your story because I've been in Calgary now for a couple of years, off and on, about 6 months total per year. And your clips, your analysis, SportsGrid's been coming on my radar here in Calgary because of what you do. It's kind of mind-blowing to me that you're on a U.S. show, living out of the Calgary area, talking NFL and all sports. So tell us how that happened, please.
It's absolutely mind-blowing to me, too. I never expected to be here.
Not just me. Okay.
No, not at all. Just this small-town Calgary girl being able to work for American Network. So it's absolutely incredible. My love of sports has always been there. I played netball growing up in Australia. When I came to Canada, played for Team Alberta, and I loved all sports. My dad rooted for the underdogs always, went against all Calgary teams. He was a pain at any single game we went to, but he gave me the love, and so did my mom. My mom's a huge sports fan.
Well, it's one thing to be a fan, Joe, and you can look at me over here if you want. It's one thing to be a fan. It's another to know what you're talking about, and that's where I was like, she knows what she's talking about. For instance, I turned on SportsGrid last night. You're talking about the Diamondbacks and whether to bet the over and stuff like that. So for your show, SportsGrid, where did you settle in on a knowledge of the major leagues? Not just baseball, but all the key leagues.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of studying. I've always loved sports. So a lot of studying into those sports, especially when you're looking at live betting. And that's what I'm doing on SportsGrid on those shows, because we're watching those games, we're live betting those games, trying to find the angles and trying to find where there's value within a line. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of fun. Did you see the smoke coming out of my ears last night when I didn't take the Diamondbacks on the alternate run line? For the first 5,
I didn't notice that part, but
that was a sad part, because I said to my co-host, we should take this laying 1.5 on the alt line with the Diamondbacks. They're going to win the first 5 by 2 because of the pitching matchup. He talked me off of it. I didn't bet it. It was plus 210 on the money line. So.
Well, you were talking about how old the Diamondbacks pitcher was and whether you should bet on him or not. And I thought that was hilarious, to be honest with you. But here's the thing. Not intimidated by the camera, not afraid to speak your mind. And by the way, Carlos from Indianapolis writes in, he says, all Madden RP show edition. I say this is Joe Madden, like the baseball skipper, but without the E.
Yeah,
you probably have never said that, but that's J-O, Joe Madden. Follow her at Joe Madden Sports. I'm not quite done with your story yet.
Yeah.
Because you said your schedule slammed. We've been trying about 3 weeks to get you down here.
I know, it's been crazy.
So can you talk about that, how busy SportsGrid keeps you?
Yeah, SportsGrid keeps me so busy. It's absolutely phenomenal. I'm doing content as well as the live shows. So looking at this upcoming week, my week really starts on a Thursday. I've got a 3-hour show tonight, 3-hour show. It's Friday.
Yeah.
I'm like, what
Lost
day
track
is
of
it?
the days.
Yeah, so 3-hour show last night, 3-hour show tonight, and then rolling into the weekend, I do 3 and 4 hours on Sunday, and we're going over all of these lines. And then my real days off is a Wednesday. So every other day, we're looking at content, and being in the sports betting world, there really isn't days off. So I laugh at people saying, I never wanted to do a 9-to-5. I was an accountant. I hated that. I was always around the water cooler talking with people about sports. And they're like, why aren't you doing this? And I was like, I have no clue why I'm not doing this. Well, one reason, I was so shy. I did not like telling people anything. I did report to management and tell them how to cut costs, but no way did I tell them how to spend money. So now I absolutely love what I'm doing, and I get to do so much. I'm busy every day, and I absolutely love it.
So what did you do? Go to a Dale Carnegie Toastmasters class or something? You don't just go from being shy to being on television 3 hours a night in New Jersey.
I basically said, stuff it, and let's go.
How about that? It's like the Barbie movie. Hey?
I haven't seen that yet. Is it
You're
good?
too busy. Yeah, so I appreciate that, man. By the way, Bob's watching in Atlanta, and he writes in and says, Matthew Bergeron, number 65, Atlanta Falcons. Why would he say that? Is he in the news? Any idea why he would say that?
No,
okay,
I don't
fair.
know.
Now, so we brought up last night's NFL preseason action. The Eagles 18, the Browns 18, and I said if there's anything worse than NFL preseason games, it's a tie. And you had an answer for that.
Yeah, not if you had the under 36.5. That number floated around so much. A lot of people had 36. They got the push on that, so they got their money back. But if you had the under 36.5 at one point, which you could have got it at, you cashed that ticket. So you were waiting that last 40 seconds of the game saying, no score, no score, no score.
Okay, so we need to talk about sports, but also sports betting, because BetRegal's our exclusive betting partner, and we love them. They are the exclusive betting partner, official betting partner of the Canadian Football League, last I checked. And there's a difference between being a sports expert and there's a difference in being a betting expert, right?
Absolutely.
And can you explain? I learned that from my NFL guys like Torrey Gurley and so forth that are fantasy experts. He's with FanDuel. Yep. Can you explain the difference between being a sports expert and a betting expert? Because not a lot of people would understand that.
No, not a lot of people will. But to be a betting expert, I really do think you have to have a handle of the sports that you're betting. And a lot of people will just look at the trends, look at the stats, but I think the best bettors out there completely understand the whole game as a whole and are able to put the two of them together, and it makes them more well-rounded better. So as a sports bettor, you're looking more at trends, you're looking at values within lines. As a sports expert, you know everything about those teams. And now while maybe you're watching college basketball, as a sports bettor, you might not know the second string guy that's coming in off the bench. As an expert, you would. As a bettor, you don't. But you know if that team covers the spread. You know their ability once we get to the fourth quarter to outlast other teams and that kind of thing. So
yeah, what really hit home for me when Torrey Gurley was on, he played for the Browns and the Packers. He sat beside Aaron Rodgers in the locker room. He goes, well, if they're down late, they're going to be throwing lots. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, never thought about that. But I don't bet a ton. What are your favorite types of bets? Because our poll question today, you heard us say, for Key, Yorkton Key, is who is your Super Bowl favorite? Kansas City, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, or Buffalo? Do you like those future bets? Do you like prop bets? Over, under, what?
I love everything. There's not a bet I don't like. It's kind of like wine. There's not wine that I don't like. There's not a bet I don't like. There's a lot of value to be put. I don't like putting out too many futures, though, because you look at that. You put a future right now on the Bengals to win the Super Bowl, on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. What happens over the next couple months? If there's an injury, you have the risk of putting that money out to the sports book. They want you to take those early bets. I don't like taking a lot of them.
That's why they advertise them, huh?
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely.
So to these NFL preseason games then, because again, I worked in the Canadian Football League for 20 years. I feel if you're betting on football preseason games, you're a sucker. Because how could you predict this?
It's hard. It's really hard to predict. So if you're looking at a preseason game, there are some trends that hold true. The Baltimore Ravens always win. They've won, 21?
Preseason games.
Yeah,
yes,
preseason games. So you look at that. You look at Andy Reid in week 1. He doesn't come out. He doesn't win. It just doesn't happen. So you bet against Andy Reid in week 1. You look at week 2, we should see more of those starters coming out for more of a dress rehearsal. We didn't see that a lot. There's a lot of trends, right? You just have to look at those trends and bet those trends.
Yeah, you make it sound so easy. Yeah. It's not that easy.
It's not
I don't think so.
And and go careful. Go absolutely careful.
Yeah.
Look at the first halves. Don't look at the full game. If you look at the full game, you're going to be scrambling like you did last night, worried that was going to go over the 36 number if you had the under, right? Because the first half easily went under the total. You looked at those defenses. You knew those defenses were going to come out strong. That full game almost went over for a lot of people.
So is that why, if I'm correct, saying the NFL and pro leagues love betting because it's making you watch to the end? Absolutely. Right?
Yeah.
So from our viewers, Jay, and I'll get you can jump into the opinions on any of these comments.
Okay.
Jay Bachhout, who we haven't heard from a while, he's in the States. He says, Jaguars as Super Bowl contenders or favorites. Are you taking that?
That would be nice. I'd love to see Trevor Lawrence and the Jags be able to get something done this season. They had a great last season. If they can stay healthy, if they can protect Trevor Lawrence, we know that he can't sustain injury. I think they have a team that has the ability to make a run. They are definitely trending up.
Mahi in BC says ties in the NFL are the best bet. Is that a fact?
Oh, no.
I didn't
Ties
think
in the NFL?
That's the worst bet.
Yeah.
They never happen.
They don't. You go to OT.
Okay, I apologize. Jay is in BC.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jay, but still, I get it. Nathan Rourke, you're in BC following the Jags for that reason. Now, it's 11:11 Eastern, by the way. 11:11 Mountain, 1:11 Eastern. Not know if you're into numerology.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that
Big.
you did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then our viewers pointed out.
Yeah.
Randy in Winnipeg says, I put a future on the Chargers.
I love Randy. He's now my favorite person.
But you're a long-suffering Chargers fan.
I am a long-suffering Chargers fan. They break my heart each and every season. But look at them this season. New offensive coordinator with Kellen Moore. He should be able to get Herbert's arm going. Herbert is absolutely phenomenal. We know he just got paid, highest paid quarterback in the league. I love the ability. Chargers have to stay healthy. This team can never stay healthy. And this is the problem. Brandon Staley, he's an issue. He
Bad
really
decisions.
needs to go. Yeah, he makes terrible decisions. We all know it, right? It's not good.
Randy in Winnipeg says 90% of my betting is on the NFL.
Tell him to expand.
Yeah,
Expand,
bet
Randy.
more. Oh, besides the NFL, yeah.
NFL is the hardest league in all of major sports to make money on.
Arlen Bruce III, your guy Kevin. I'm not taking responsibility for his comment. He says, Ms. Joe Madden, you're very pleasant to look at. Great job.
Thank you. You can thank my mama for that.
Two-time Grey Cup champion and former Kansas City Chief, Arlen Bruce III, chiming in today. Well, do you have a favorite sport to analyze? Because as I said, I tuned in SportsGrid last night. You're talking MLB, but you clearly have the NFL knowledge. And I've seen you posing in Flames gear, so you're obviously a hockey fan too.
I love hockey. I love the Calgary Flames. The sport that I make the most money in, which is crazy, is the NBA. It's my least favorite to watch. It's the game that I really understand the most and can find the best lines on and the best ability to make money, which is absolutely crazy to think.
So you got to explain that a little more to me, because again, you grew up in Australia,
Yep.
moved to Calgary, and NBA is your jam. Pardon the pun.
It is.
What is
It
it? Is it because it's not that hard to predict?
It's not that it's that hard to predict. I don't think there's as sharp of lines as we see in the NFL. We're able to get a little bit more value, and there's a lot of times where the underdog can pull off the upset. Betting the NBA, you have to wait, though, because these guys are not like hockey players. They have a calf, ache. They're not hitting the court. So waiting till the very end right before to see who actually is going to play, even if they come out to warm up, they still might not hit the court. So you got to wait till the last very seconds of that game to bet it.
The EMJ marketing text line is open, by the way, 902-518-3033. We will take a break in a few moments. When we come back, we'll get to the actual audience questions and comments. So NFL primarily on a Football Friday, but we haven't got into the NHL at all, and I would like to do that with you. Joe Madden is with us. You can follow her on Twitter at Joe, no E, at Joe Madden Sports, and Instagram as well.
Yeah.
You're doing your thing there as well. I'm just fascinated by your story, as I mentioned here. So when you talk about big stars not playing,
Yep.
how has betting and your job changed over the years in terms of, let's just say, load management for one?
Yeah.
Or game time decisions, another in the NFL and CFL. How much does that throw a kink into what you do?
It does throw a big kink into things, especially if you're counting on that one player. I remember a couple seasons ago, Matt Stafford, he decided he couldn't play the Sunday morning of a game. He was with the Lions at that point. The Lions were the favorite going into that. It moved the line by 7 points. They went from being a 3.5-point favorite to a 3.5-point underdog. So it went all the way. Watching stuff like that, betting later in some of these situations, you've got to learn how to, if you took the Lions laying the 3.5, you have to go back in on the other side, bet that other team, so you're hitting a middle. Learning things like that, because injuries happen, things happen during the week, but you got to get the best of the lines, which on a Sunday night, after these games are done, I'm already looking ahead at the matchups, seeing where I think these teams should be the next week, and finding value within the lines on the sportsbook. So it's a lot of work.
She covers all the major sports on a show. It's New Jersey based, right?
New York, New Jersey.
New York, New Jersey?
Yeah.
And then she's from here. It's a wild story, and clearly she knows her stuff. Very popular guest. Now, yesterday we had who's on your Mount Rushmore of your favorite team. Top of this carried over today. Jeff from Edmonton writes in. He says, as the RP Show's resident Ticats fan, I just would like to add my Mount Rushmore: Angelo Mosca, Garney Henley, Joe Monfort, Danny McManus. Thank you, Jeff. Do you have a favorite team?
I do. It's the LA Chargers.
Oh, yeah, we covered that.
Yeah.
Who's on your Mount Rushmore?
Okay, you got to go back to
San
Phillip
Diego
Rivers.
days.
Yeah,
Okay.
Phillip Rivers, absolutely loved him. Antonio Gates, though, gave me the love of football.
Stud.
So, Antonio Gates, did you know he played college basketball at Kent State?
No.
So he played college basketball. I didn't know where he went. I thought he was going to go into the NBA. Well, he transferred out of basketball into football, started playing football at Kent State. Long story short, I was watching a Chargers 49ers game. I saw Phillip Rivers throw the ball to Antonio Gates, not knowing it was my Antonio Gates. And I was like, no way. He has the same hands. That was Antonio Gates. So I had to Google it. And
One
then,
of the greatest tight ends, I would say, of all time.
absolutely. So I thought I was going to be a 49ers fan. That was my team at that point. And I was like, no
switched.
way. I'm a Chargers fan. Right?
Rivers, Gates, are we throwing Junior Seau in there?
Oh,
or is that
you
a sentiment?
You absolutely have to. You have to throw him in. And then let's look at Sproles. I loved Sproles when he played for the Chargers.
Stud, too.
Yeah.
Okay. That was easy.
That was easy.
Todd in attendance. Todd B writes in from our live studio audience. He says, hey, Rod and Joe, who makes worse decisions? Brandon Staley, your Chargers coach, or Josh McDaniels, the head coach of the Vegas Raiders? Did you say you're a Vegas fan? Is that why you asked? Talk about picking between...
Bad and bad.
Yeah, carcinoma and melanoma.
Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley.
Yeah,
all
he
day long.
does make some bad ones, doesn't he?
Terrible decisions. Calling a timeout in that position when both of them could have gone into the playoffs, that was the worst decision he ever made. And the Raiders capitalized on that, sent the Chargers out of the playoffs. So it's Brandon Staley 100% of the way.
Let's go to Phil in Dauphin, Manitoba on the EMJ Marketing text line, 902-518-3033. He says, good day. For the poll question, my heart wants to say the Miami Dolphins, but my gut says the Kansas City Chiefs. They're a well-built team. I can't wait for the Bombers game. Should be a good one. Hashtag TGIF. Hashtag Bob's your uncle.
I love it.
Let's talk about the AFC East for a second, because I'm a Cowboys fan. We'll get to the NFC East in a second, but the AFC East, I will be returning to Florida shortly.
Yeah.
It's all I'm going to hear about, which is fine. The Dolphins and the Patriots and the Jets and the Bills.
Yeah.
Who's the best one in that bunch in your mind?
Well, the books are thinking it's the Bills. They're plus 120 to win the division. We look at the Jets plus 250, the Dolphins plus 290, and the Pats plus 800. I'm with the books on the Patriots. I don't think the Patriots have a chance. I don't like Mac Jones under center. Everyone's saying Belichick is on the line. If he doesn't come out strong this season, get this team to a double-digit win, that he's going to be fired. They're not going to fire the GOAT. Belichick is going nowhere. It's not his fault. He needs to develop this team. He needs a new quarterback under center. I don't have faith in Mac Jones, and I'm sorry. I know he could take time and he could develop, but I'm not seeing that star power out of Mac Jones.
Alabama fan here, so I'm pulling for Mac Jones.
I'm
pulling for
him too.
Bryce Young,
Yeah.
but you're basically saying he'll never be all that?
I think he will be a Jared Goff of the league. I don't think he's going to be Patrick Mahomes level. I don't think he's going to be Trevor Lawrence level. I don't think he's going to be Lamar Jackson level. He's going to be run-of-the-mill quarterback. He gets stuff done, but he's not someone people are going to talk about in 20 years.
He's a 15th overall guy, and what I mean by that is not a top 10 guy.
Yeah.
So, Jared Goff. I love that you can bounce around. And by the way, if you watch SportsGrid, you're used to doing this.
I am.
You do this a lot. You're very confident in front of the camera. As I do my John Lynch imitation. Not San Francisco John Lynch, another one. The Detroit Lions.
Yep.
I saw this piece on SportsCenter saying Dan Campbell, the head coach of the Lions, is having to manage expectations of the Lions. And I'm going, why would expectations be high of the Detroit Lions? I'm missing something.
Yeah, I'm missing something too. I don't see it in the Lions. Lots of people thinking they're going to be strong this upcoming season. They made a nice run of it at the end of last season, and their ability to not be turned over was what got them all of those wins. I don't see it happening this season, and I think they're going to go under their win total. It might be 9.5. I'd have to relook at that one because it's one of those ones I'm like, it's the Lions. I don't see it happening. Their defense is strong. I don't trust Jared Goff. He can throw those interceptions. He's not the quarterback for me that could get the Lions to double-digit wins this season.
Can somebody tell me why stock is so high on the Detroit Lions? I go back to the Jared Goff thing. They made the trade out of L.A. for a reason, which is another thing. Matthew Stafford of the Los Angeles Rams.
Terrible.
Nothing's expected out of them. Do they need to make any apologies? They just won the Super Bowl in their own stadium. We saw this coming, did we not?
Yeah, Super Bowl hangover is a real thing, but you got to look at the injuries last season out of the Rams. This team was destroyed by injuries. I think they had the most injuries of any team out there. So Matt Stafford, his elbow, I think, was the issue last season. Can he come out stronger this season? Will Cooper Kupp be ready to go? Will he be able to make those passes? Their win total's low because of this, and we got to remember, this is a team that could get there. They've got great coaching. Sean McVay, I don't know. Do you rely on Sean McVay to be able to get them over 6.5 wins? This is a hard one here for me with the Rams. Big question marks. I don't have that much faith in them. But again, they won the Super Bowl. This is a team that can get things done.
They know how to win.
So they know how to win.
But they're not the same team. OBJ's gone. Jalen Ramsey's gone. So, but again, I don't think they're making any apologies for anything because they won a Super Bowl in their own stadium. That should buy you some time. Now, when they talk about Super Bowl hangover, Kansas City doesn't seem to suffer from that.
No, not at all.
What's their secret, do you think?
It's Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. Since Andy Reid has been with the Kansas City Chiefs, they've never gone under their win total for a season. They've always gone over that. It's high. I think it's 11.5 this season. But this team has proven they can win these games. Now, they win the tight games. They come out, and if this game is, a 2-point game at the very end, it's the Kansas City Chiefs on top. They find a way to always come back. We saw it in that one Super Bowl versus the 49ers where they came back. Everyone was jumping on the Kansas City Chiefs to come back in that one and made so much money because the 49ers were up at the half. This is a team you can never count out. And for live betting it, you guys always want to look at the Kansas City Chiefs to come back in those games, no matter how low they go down.
I love that you're cool with answering the questions on the fly. There's questions and comments coming in. Ryan in New York State says for the Chargers, Mount Rushmore, Dan Fouts, Kellen Winslow, LaDainian Tomlinson, Junior Seau. When you look back, they're actually not as junk as you think. They've had some stars go through there.
Man, LT was good.
Yeah.
Dan Fouts was good.
Fantastic.
There's so many stars that have gone through. For the Chargers, it's hard to believe this is a team that has not won a Super Bowl. They're just not able to get there. Our best chance, 2014, and Tom Brady kicked us out of that game when he was with the Patriots. That one hurt. It hurt a lot.
Rich in Edmonton says, will Jimmy G and Josh McDaniels click like they did in New England, or will this be another long year for this suffering Raider fan?
It's not going to be a long year for the Raiders. I have faith in the draft pick out of the 4th round for the Raiders under center. I think Aiden O'Connell was absolutely phenomenal in preseason. Now, we talked about preseason quarterbacks, how they come out. These rookies, I don't fade a rookie that looked bad, but a rookie that looked solid like him. He went 3 quarters. He went 12 of 16 for his passes, 189 passing yards, I believe it was. He was absolutely phenomenal under center. He didn't show any pressure. He stood tall in that pocket. If Jimmy G goes out, Aiden O'Connell will take it over Hoyer.
Brian in Edmonton area says, Joe, any thoughts on Deion Sanders going to Colorado football?
No.
Like you didn't like that he went, or the way that he went, or what?
I don't know how it's going to go there with him coaching there. I'm not sure if it's going to be good or not.
It's like the most controversial coaching switch maybe in college football history, save for Lane Kiffin and many of his jumping from team to team to team.
Yep.
But, and he's at Ole Miss now, right?
Yeah.
College football. You said you're on top of that, too.
Yeah, there's so much with college football. Some of those Saturdays are insane with the amount of games we have.
Yeah, well, I asked her how much you delve into that because, again, I've been now, this will be my third fall in the United States, and it's pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
Do you have and I'm not going to ask your secrets, but how do you stay on top of all of college football? Forget about the pros. College football is an animal in and of itself. Is there a secret to say? Do you pick a conference that you like, or
you do?
What?
I do look at the conferences, and I pick the teams that I want to follow. I look at those win totals when I first start the season and start looking at those teams, looking at the trends of how teams really do against that spread. But overall, with my shows, I have to talk. The most popular teams on the shows, where you're going to get the most value betting, though, is those no-name independent schools. You're going to get the value there. And then I love betting on Notre Dame and Army. I love those two. So
yeah, the fun
I'm all
games.
over the place.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying the college football polls. And as I said, I'm an Alabama fan. And they're
you not love them?
a lot of people don't. But I like them. Roll Tide. But I'm asking a lot of my college football guys in the States, why is Alabama picked ahead of Georgia? And they say it's the Saban effect.
Oh, yeah, Nick Saban, absolutely phenomenal. He is one of the best coaches out there, and that's why. I love Georgia, though. Georgia has had a lot of players move into the NFL for this upcoming season, but they did the season before. So Georgia is another solid team out there. I love the Buckeyes.
That's your team, you said.
Yeah, it is.
How do you think Justin Fields is going to do in Chicago this year?
I hope better. I hope better than last season. There is a stigma on Ohio State quarterbacks coming into the NFL. They just really don't go anywhere. They become average or below average quarterbacks because they are on a team with such strong offensive lines. They normally come out high out of the draft. And then they're put on these teams that have bad offensive lines. They have poor defense. I don't know if I trust the Bears coaching staff offensively to be able to get him into a system that he's going to succeed at, if I can talk.
Yeah, you're doing just fine. And I can ask you two more questions and I'll let you go. But C.J. Stroud, speaking of Buckeyes quarterbacks, I would ask you who will have more wins this year, Justin Fields or C.J. Stroud, but that's not fair. Justin's had a few years under his belt. What do we expect with the Texans? And
I don't expect much.
No.
I really don't expect much. I feel for this kid. His offensive line in that first preseason game, everyone's giving him so much heck. But you look at him out there, and he was like a deer in the headlights, but rightly so. I don't put too much weight on that. How's he going to be when the regular season starts? Well, if his offensive line stands there and opens the gates again like they did in that preseason game, this kid is going to get hurt. We saw it happen to Joe Burrows in his rookie season coming out. His offensive line couldn't protect him to save his life. He got that ACL injury, and I'm just praying, I'm hoping that they're able to give him enough time in that pocket that he doesn't get hurt this upcoming season.
The last one, this should be an easy one, I hope, because it's just an opinion thing for you. David in Winnipeg says, Joe, do you think the NFL should adopt the CFL overtime rules? When Buffalo and Kansas went to OT in the playoffs, it was criminal that Josh Allen didn't get a chance to play in overtime. How do you feel about the rules?
Well, have you seen the meme floating around where someone asks Patrick Mahomes, sitting next to Josh Allen, what is Josh Allen's biggest fear? And Patrick Mahomes said a coin toss. And so it was absolutely hilarious. But I don't know. I think both teams should be able to get possession of that ball. That game would have kept going on and on and on. That was an absolutely phenomenal game. But I felt for Josh Allen out there and the Bills because they should have had an opportunity with that ball. That being said, both defenses were absolutely exhausted. I don't know how long that game would have gone on for.
There's your answer, David. Okay, last, I'll just say, where can people follow you and watch your stuff, Joe?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Joe Madden Sports, and then you can catch me live on SportsGrid all the time. Every single night, it seems like.
Well, including tonight, 3 hours at SportsGrid. It's free to watch. Go give them a follow, too. Joe, you're doing an outstanding job. I can't thank you enough for coming by. Appreciate it.
Absolutely a pleasure. I'm so excited to be here, so thank you.
It's a good life, isn't it?
It is.